Hello, hello, welcome. Welcome to this week's episode of the Groomers Cut. We are presented by the Pet Pro Educators and the Whole Pet Grooming Academy. And for those who didn't know, we are the only pet industry trade school where the arts and sciences come together. The Academy offers an array of practical online I really messed that one up. Practical training and the online continuing education for the advancement of pet industry professionals. All right, I'm going to jump over here. Tonight, I am joined with Chrissy Newmeyer Smith underneath me. To my other side, Chris Anthony Bear, Mindy Dinwiddie up in the corner, and above me, lovely Michelle Knowles. And so, how is everyone tonight? Oh,
Good.
just in case, if this is your first time joining us on Restream, please give permission so that we can see your names in the chats. And everyone should now be able to see these chats. So if you should be able to see our comments and follow along with us. So hopefully everyone is here and in good working order this week.
Nothing is on fire.
And we don't have any tits on fire. That was our conversation coming into this.
Well, I missed that.
What a way to kick off schools.
A day when you can go through a whole day without your tits being on fire is a good day.
I mean, you can't deny that. That's just science.
That's just science.
Yes.
And as someone who has had hers used as a chew toy by St. Bernard, fire is also not good.
Right.
That's probably that's just as bad.
Yeah.
Oh no.
All right. So how do we want to kick this off? We have been talking about growth in this industry and things
so
that
last
have been.
week we kind of talked about the differences between internship and apprenticeship and things surrounding getting new blood into the industry and being a mentor and all those things, and what the difference is and what the things you want to look for in an internship or a mentorship or a apprenticeship. So this week, I believe we're going to open up with grooming schools, the good, the bad, the ugly, what the differences are, what we want to look for if we know very little about the industry, but we're excited to get in it and we're looking at grooming schools. What is it that we're looking for and what should make us run screaming?
And I'm going to throw in what you can do to help your local grooming school and how you can be proactive in making them possibly better and utilizing how to utilize. We get a lot of calls, and actually I take a lot of calls from other businesses, not just from the grooming, but I talk to a lot of daycare owners. I talk to a lot of vet clinics. I talk to other professionals with and looking for this and trying to help them as well. But what you can do to help your local grooming schools, because we're like ships in the night.
Yeah, we kind of are.
We're far few and in between. There is not enough, and it is not easy to be one. So where would you like to start?
So my first question, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say it's not easy to be one when you do it correctly. Because I'm sure I'm not the only one who's seen some stuff.
Well, let's define this. Let's define what makes a grooming school an actual school. And then we'll start with that very subject right there, Chris. So define what an actual school is, Dara, for us.
A school is a state approved or a federal approved. You go on two levels. Colleges, universities are typically a federal, but career schools, trade schools, technical schools, they all fall under the state. That could be truck drivers. That could be your cosmetologists, electricians, plumbers, HVAC. Who else am I thinking? Construction, Some hospitality. There's some hospitality. There's a lot of different types of career schools that are out there. It used to be ITT Tech was a career school. It was not on a level of a college or university. It was a
trade
6-month
school.
program.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're smaller programs. They're to kick workforce people out into the workforce.
And the difference between a trade school and a college program is that the trade school doesn't require you to have all of the foundational courses like English, this, that, and the other. They have certain requirements to actually get into their program, but mostly the courses are geared toward and focused toward that career rather than anything extraneous. Colleges want you to have a basic of reading, writing, and arithmetic before you even move on to your specialty courses.
Right.
Well, and then there are high school versions of the trade schools, and then post,
Post-secondary career
post-secondary career schools. Yeah.
Yeah. But the high school tech schools are developing at a lower, not a lower level, but at a what's the word I'm looking for? The advancement is slower because they're gaining some credits, but they still have to go on through the next phases to become that professional still.
I actually went to a magnet high school, and they had actual programs that the core of it would take you to that trade school or take you to that career. And they called them magnet schools in my state of Indiana, but I'm certain a lot of other different educational boards in different states have the same concept. So one of the schools I went to was all the arts, everything art, pottery, dancing, theater, all that. Another school I went to was all technical trades like drafting and cars and mechanics and electricity and all those things. So.
Now, let me ask you, how, and probably Dara, how many accredited schools do you think there are?
Grooming schools,
accredited grooming schools that are state certified in the United States.
So accreditation is when you are federally licensed and you are accepting like FAFSA, student lending. You are more governed by our
federal mandate,
regional federal government as opposed to your state. So accreditation is a completely different part. I believe there are 2 grooming schools in the country that do have accreditation. I believe Merrifield is one of them, and I do not remember off the top of my head the name of the other one, but I think they're also in Florida.
They are in Florida, correct.
And they're more of I think they have other locations. They're larger. They have boarding, daycare. They've got a little bit of everything. They've got the pet store going on. Accreditation it's difficult to get accreditation. It's difficult and it's time consuming and it's expensive.
Your student body has to be at least how many do you think to make it work?
Depending on the accreditation, because we have different regional accreditations also, depending on which one you go through, sometimes you have to have a student body of 1,000 or more a year. So
for the bigger universities or the bigger trade schools that are franchised now, like ITT Tech.
And you have to have one person on staff that's a full-time employee that just takes care of dealing with all that paperwork and all the FAFSA and all the Sally Mae and everything that has to go with being, and you got to have staff. You've got to have a lot of income coming in for that. Last time I looked to start the process, it was a $40,000 commitment for the 2 years.
Wow.
Now, so what makes accreditation different than, let's say, Whole Pet Academy? What is Whole Pet Academy and how is that different than an accredited school?
I just can't accept any, we're not an accredited school because we can't accept student lending. We're licensed by the state of New Hampshire.
So we're licensed by the state of New Hampshire school board to offer diploma programs.
Department of Education.
State level,
Yep.
It's a state level Department of Education, so everything still goes through the Department of Education. Because I've seen your paperwork, and I know it's crazy. And I'm glad I'm not doing it because I don't do paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just because you're not at a federal level does not mean that your school is shabby or you're doing things wrong.
Right.
As long as you're going through your school board's program for post-secondary education trade schools, then you're pretty much on the money.
So I think of all the schools that I know, I mean, when we can probably name them, Paragon is all online now. I don't know if they are still in a licensed school or not, because they've gotten so throughout the states. So I'm not sure how their license is anymore, but every state has different rules for their license too.
Right.
So go ahead.
They have like now they're doing like certifiers that they send the student to your salon. Paragon
it's like an apprenticeship
program. Yeah, exactly.
It's like an apprenticeship program that has a satellite, and then you sign up with the satellite or the main deal, and they'll find a groomer in your area willing to apprentice you. Is that kind of like what they're doing?
Yeah, and they're working with they're also working with a couple corporates.
Yeah,
and training at corporates.
Because I mean, you have to, in order for them to send somebody to you, you have to go through a application process and everything like that. So, but okay, so aside from accreditation, then how many do you think are out there that are state certified grooming schools?
State licensed.
State licensed.
Licensed and certifications are different terms.
So just to clarify, the difference, the main difference between licensing and accreditation is one of them is state and one of them is federal. And the federal one enables you to accept student loan payments. So it's usually part of a bigger program. It's usually going to be part of a big university that has a grooming program. You may not find grooming schools that's all they do that are federally accredited. Is that about?
And some of the schools that have been out there, you have a certain amount of years you have to be a school before you can get approved. And the packets, I can go forever on that, but just to go through that training is having somebody trained, having the owner of the school trained with the person who's going to be doing all the paperwork. Again, each organization that's doing that accreditation for the government is the steps and how you do it. I think it was 18 to 24 months. And they do site visits. They do office visits. They do background checks, credit checks.
Now, is it possible that a person or an entity or a group of people start a school, and I'm air quoting the crap out of this, right? Start a school, but they just have a regular business license, not a license for a school, but just a business license to do business. How is that different than a school license?
A business license, a school license, we accept tuition. If somebody is paying you and you are telling them at the end of their training that they are a professional so-and-so or a certified so-and-so, and they get, here's your certificate, here's your diploma.
Now, before you go on, if they're licensed by the state, they would indeed get a diploma.
Or a certificate. It can be whatever you want to call it. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You have whatever the state approves your curriculum for. So I have certificate classes. We have diploma programs.
Okay.
A diploma is a series of classes or courses put together over an extended period of time with the progression that people get their diploma. You have to go your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year for your diploma. You have to do your levels of training for
In
your
academia,
diploma.
especially when you're out of high school, it literally goes level 100, 200, 300, 400, all the way up to like 7 for specialties.
Yeah.
But absolutely, you have that progression, and it is like
Yeah.
a freshman year to a senior year.
Yep. So the students have to show that they are progressing through. You have to, we have to maintain their records, their files at the end of the year. When I go and turn in my state paperwork, I mean,
I know when I used to visit your school, it was like, okay, go do your paperwork and we'll take care of this.
When I send you my file every year, I have to submit in grades. I have to submit in progress reports. I have to submit in where they're at, their attendance. Everything has to be submitted in. I put it all together in a presentation folder. I have a binder. That's what you saw there. My binder of how I have to submit in all this paperwork. And what they want, and any change of the catalog, any change of a title, a course, a change in price, anything has to be approved. And I have 30 days that has to be approved before I can launch it.
There's usually a cost.
Oh, there's always a cost.
Always a cost.
Nothing's free.
So now I want to talk about. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I have a question. For it to be a diploma program or a certificate program through like a school, does it require a certain amount of book work, paperwork, like testing stuff, or is it just hands-on? Because I know sometimes you see people talking about their grooming program is all hands-on, and I'm like, well, that doesn't seem.
There should be lectures.
Thorough. Yeah, there should be lectures. There should be books. There should be something written. But is that actually required?
It depends on the state.
Do it, but... Oh, okay.
It depends on the state and what the curriculum says. So when I draw up or when I submit in plans and I submit into them, this is how this class layout is going to be. Michelle's class is set as a virtual training center, and they go on and it's self-guided. Chrissy, yours is enrolled as a virtual classroom, and I had to get all of that approved down to the timing and how long they are in that classroom and how long there is homework and everything. So that's why the syllabuses are so crucial for all the classes. Is a syllabus tells that student exactly what they're getting. This is how much you paid. This is who your instructor is. This is who you need to contact if there's a problem. This is how they, just like when you go to college, your syllabus tells them everything.
Your syllabus, you should get a syllabus when you go to any actual licensed school. They should hand you a syllabus. It should be in your new student paperwork, and it should lay out by week what you're going to be working on. The minute they're just throwing it in there, and I'm just going to throw this in here and we'll continue talking about it, but the minute they go off of their syllabus and they're either not teaching you anything at all that's in that syllabus, they have committed fraud. They have stopped teaching what you were paid to be taught. So that's really important to remember as well. The syllabus is the contract between the student and the school, and the student
and the instructor. That's actually the syllabus is between the student and the instructor.
Exactly. Yes.
That
is our agreement.
Catalog.
I'm agreeing to teach you all these things in this order, so that by the time you get to the end, all of this will have been covered. All of your scores and discussion posts and all those things are going to be in your file, so that we can get a picture of your education with our institution.
Yeah.
Many schools, and I know of 5 off the top of my head in this country, that are operating with no license with the school board of their state. They give you a simple syllabus, but what ends up happening is they pay their $6,000 or $8,000 or whatever it is that they're asking for their tuition, and they're nothing but a glorified labor force. You go in there, you don't know no one teaches you how to use scissors. No one gives you exercises. There are no lectures. There's no homework. There's not really even a test. You're just bathing and half-ass grooming dogs, 10 dogs a day, every day for 3 months. And when that young person comes out, they don't know how to scissor trim. They don't know how to hand fluff. They don't know any breed trims. They know how to shave things down and do crappy baths. And half the time, and in one case, and I won't call you out, my sweet darling, in one case, this poor student saved every single penny throughout her entire high school years at minimum wage to pay every penny of her grooming school. And that is exactly what they have her doing. Not only did they get her for tuition, but she also does like 10 hours a day, and she doesn't get any tips or any recompense or anything.
Yeah.
Because that's her school. And yet her instructors are over there doing 10 and 13 dogs a day and don't even supervise what she's doing.
I don't know,
school.
I don't know what your religious beliefs are, but there is a special kind of hell for people who do not share tips with their bathers. As someone who started as a bather, I don't care if you don't even believe in hell. This
Hell believes in you.
hell believes in you.
There is a place for all those people, and they're knowingly doing it. That is not how you learn. None of them are certified instructors.
Ooh, tip stealers be
None of them. None of them keep up on CE. If you name some greats in our industry that all of us should know as groomers, just, let's say Sam Cole, let's say, all those people, Terry DeMarino, and if you throw those, they don't even know who they are. They don't even know who they are.
Well, I'm going to take the back seat on, I'm not going to take the back seat, but I'm going to give some reasons, because I have talked to other people who have been running those kind of schools, and that once they start getting it comes down to that professionalism in our industry, that there's no accountability still, and that we can easily do this because as a business owner, if you're paying 50% commission to a lot of your groomers and you're not able to sustain a business on a 50% commission. Yeah. You just can't do it when you're paying for everything else. People are looking for other ways to support that business. And it's easy to say, they get into the trap. Well, I trained so-and-so and they went down the road, and I've trained this person and they left, and blah, blah, blah. Yes, that's our job. That's our job. We're supposed to be providing on-the-job training to employees. That's what you do when you own a business.
But think about this. In a school environment, it's just like a salon. Let's say that you are not charging enough. So you have to do 13 dogs a day to make your bank, to make your profit or whatever, right? Yeah. The school is the same thing. If you are giving a quality program, then you charge for that program.
Absolutely.
And the tuition itself should run your business. If you are depending on these poor people, these precious young people and older people now that are wanting a new career are coming in here. They're so enthusiastic. They're so excited and passionate. They're like, yeah, teach me.
They get burnt out before they even walk out the door.
In 3 months. Is that really helping our industry? You're just putting money in your pocket. And you're making money on their jobs that they're doing.
I'm just gonna say,
I think that there are a lot of people who they mean well, but they kind of fall into like, well, I can teach grooming, and they just don't even know what it is to become a school, and they just start. But how many groomers fall into business just saying like, I'll be my own boss and
I can do it better. Everybody says that. I can do it better.
Like they just try it one day and then they find themselves like really overwhelmed.
I've had bathers come and work for me for like 3 months and go, oh, I'm opening up my own shop. This is easy. I can do this. I'm like, okay.
And the thing is,
I can't argue with them.
I want to jump over. Hold on, Mindy. I just want to go over to, I'm not sure, Facebook user. I'm sorry you were late to the discussion. That is okay. We have not talked about becoming an instructor, but we will get there.
Absolutely.
And I was to something Chrissy said, the temptation is there and it can be well-meaning to just say, I'm going to teach people because I love grooming and but as someone who taught in a corporate academy, what people don't realize is that means you're grooming less dogs.
You should be.
Like, if you're doing it right, I'm standing side by side with the person and watching what they're doing. So I could groom 2 dogs in the time I sat and did one with them. Even when they got to the point where I didn't have to be like at their elbow. I still had to be like, oh, I'm watching what's going on. And like, okay, wait, you're getting to the feet. Stop what I'm doing. Or, oh, FaceTime. Stop what I'm doing. Go over here.
And that's
Yeah,
what we
it's
talked
not
about last
faster.
week. Yeah.
Oh,
Not
it is
fast.
not fast.
It's not like 2
No.
people twice as much. It's
and they can't.
it's very
A
different
school
pace.
cannot expect a beginner to groom 10 dogs a day.
No, it's
That's
like 2 people
ridiculous.
half as
There
much.
should be classroom time and there should be on the floor time. There should be lectures and information being given and notes taken, and then there should be actual practical hands-on time as well. You can't just do one. And as far as how do we become instructors when there's no regulated industry standard?
Wait, I want to go back to what you just said. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the classroom time and everything, that is important. And that's kind of how we've set up at the academy is having students do a lot of their online courses first prior to starting their hands-on, because now they've got that knowledge and they're bringing it to the floor. They're doing their quizzes off to the side. They're doing all of that book work before they even come into and start their hands-on.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. When you're looking for a school, should a question be asked, are you expected to do the book work at school? Or are you expected to do floor work at the school and do book work at home?
But that should all be in the syllabus. You shouldn't have to ask that because it should all be laid out for you.
But if they're touring or visiting the school, if that's a question that they would ask, a lot of people do. And we turn students away all the time because the minute they hear we have classroom time, we have book work, you're going to have a CPR class. You've got, there's homework and quizzes. They go, I'm out. I'm not going to a trade school to learn how to, I'm a hands-on person. Yeah.
And I also think what everyone needs to think of when they're doing this is everyone tests differently. Everyone learns differently. So I had to write descriptions for the classes that I'm doing for Whole Pet Academy. And I had to, put how much class time, how much homework, how much testing. And after listening to this discussion, I realized I need to have a caveat at the very beginning of the class saying, these are estimated times that I put for homework and testing. These are estimated times. You could be a great tester and do it faster.
Yeah.
You could be a bad tester and do it a lot slower. Don't feel like I'm not timing you. It's okay if you take longer. It's okay if you take longer from your homework. If you fly through your homework, as long as you do it and it's correct and you hand it in, I don't care. It took you 15 minutes or it took you an hour. I'm not grading on time. These are approximate. Because everyone learns differently.
Everyone
and I give the option of answering the questions as instead of like written, because I think sometimes people just are like, I can't do a written answer. It's like, then we can do it as a discussion. I will adjust. I understand that we all learn a little bit differently. We can easily pivot a little bit and make it easier for somebody.
We do that. How many times have we read tests and quizzes out to students and and written it down for them because they're so stressed about it that they're much happier sitting next to you and you reading the question and them going, oh yeah, I know that. And then they can regurgitate it back, but put it in front of them and make them sit there and do it themselves, and they're like,
It's overwhelming to them.
Yeah, let me address Kelly.
Kelly.
Yeah, let me
I was
address
going
Kelly
there.
real quick. She says, I understand IPG and NDGAA are wonderful and the best, most thorough and reliable. Don't forget ISCC. Way to become a groomer. But that does not make an instructor or certify them for teaching other people. Having said that, yes, that is true. But in this industry, I would much prefer going into a school and seeing the instructors are certified with one of the major certification courses.
One or more.
One or more. And they should have other CEs. They should have been going to other schools, or at least have the study materials, you know, so that they know the answers. They know where to go to when you ask a question and they don't know the answer to it. So if you've been through IPG, National Dog Groomers Association, or the International Society for Canine Cosmetology, I think that you are well on your way to being an instructor. And I think that as our industry progresses, our instructors are going to have those initials after their name. You're going to see those. And even when I started teaching at Whole Pet, that school board wanted all of my certificates. They wanted to see everything. They wanted to know what my courses were and how was I a credible instructor of that knowledge.
Yep.
So I poured through all of my stuff. Every
Don't
instructor.
scare Chris yet. I haven't gotten hers yet.
Who, me?
Sorry, I'm having connection.
I need to update mine.
So fuzzy.
So that is
I have my CPG, but then in the training world, I have the other
Your
levels
other
of
titles.
those. Yep.
Yeah.
And
So
so
when I
there are good ways to
in-
assess that your peers understand your knowledge base.
Yes.
You know?
And as
So,
far
yeah.
as standardization, that's why we created the Master Groomers Council of Best Practices.
Yeah.
We actually have published the first edition. For those of you who don't know, go back to Pet Pro Educators. It's actually published in the files, and it's also published in the council private page. If you are not yet a member and you are a groomer or a master groomer, please contact us and we will put you in the council so that you can have your voice heard. But yes, there are standards, and we have developed safety standards. We've also developed collectively in the industry, we've developed all those, and we've kind of taken all those things together, and we have discussed and voted on all the verbiage that put that into the first edition. So yes, there are standards now in our industry. We have standards. Absolutely.
And put the link. Michelle, can you put the link again?
I'll get it. Yep.
Okay. Yep. Put that link again in the comments. Yep.
Sarah,
And
does this count? This is the only one I got.
What's that? Sorry, hold on.
She's a PGC groomer.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
you've.
But sorry about that. A thunderstorm
about
started to roll in.
Yeah, I'll tell you. But when I send off for instructors that are coming in, and new instructors that I invite in, at this point, the state I keep saying we have such an amazing, strong group of online presence and professionals that are teaching these online classes. When I submit into the state, I give a portfolio of the bio. I'll send in pictures and why I feel this is a good addition to the school and for the students, and why this person should be teaching these classes. And the state looks at that, they take that, and all of that goes into their bank, into their holding system somewhere underground in giant containers, and stays. That way you're protected. Should somebody come back and say, I didn't learn this, I wasn't taught this,
and you will have that, won't you?
Yeah.
Even
You
if you
will
taught
have
them.
that.
Even if you taught them.
Even if
And that's
you taught
why
them.
That's why it's so important too, as a school, that they keep the documentation of what they have taught and when they taught that. And, you know, if a student is struggling or if they are proficient in it, and that those type of things should all be recorded for a school.
I agree. Absolutely.
Videos, We have video cameras. It records audio and video. Everything. That's the classes that you're teaching online, recorded so that you always have that feedback. If anything
Not
comes
only
back,
that, Dara brought this to my attention too. The thing that makes it an actual licensed school course is that there must be quizzes. There must be tests. There must be homework. There must be a marker of something to make sure that they're learning their course. So I have 27 hours. This is just an example. I've got 27 hours and I have 4 levels. Those 27 hours are divided into 4 levels. Each level will have, 3 to maybe 7 video sections. So each hour needs a discussion post. So every time they do a section, they get a discussion post. When they finish a level, they've got 2 or 3 things they need to complete their final progress report, basically. Either an exam or a video or an essay in MLA format or APA format, depending on where they are in the course. So, I mean, there's actual paperwork, actual homework that they submit to me that all goes in a file. And so that if they come back and say, well, I didn't learn that, I'm like, oh, that's weird because this is your discussion post from that section and you grasp that completely. You know what I mean? If they don't pass, I don't pass them. If they can't get the section and they didn't score high enough to pass, they have to redo it. So your integrity as an instructor and as a school depends on having that level, that standard of teaching. Just because you paid the money doesn't mean you get to be a dentist. Not everybody gets to be a dentist. The best people that pass the test get to be a dentist. Yeah. It's no different than anything else. An electrical engineer, a groomer, or whatever.
Well, and even your IPG, your NDG, AA, your ICC, they require a certain score in order for you to pass.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, it's absolutely, you have to be able to prove that you have the knowledge.
Right. Mm-hmm. And those of you who are on the fence or don't really think that certification, becoming a master groomer is worth your time, or the clients don't really care, believe me, I've got all my certificates papered in my lobby. And when they come in, they see the shining brightly groomer that they're getting to groom their dog. And I do market myself. Yes, I did study all these things. Mm-hmm. No, I won't be doing that because it's harmful to your pet. But I have a better clientele because I can market myself properly. And that's a skill. And Dara has classes for that.
Yeah. So I am sure that there are a lot of under the radar schools out there.
Yes.
And you've got to know where to go and who to talk to about them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if you want to.
Let me ask you, what would be red flags that you would be looking for if you are looking at a school to go to that would make you think about, better rethink this?
Oh, I got
some of those things.
I've
Let's talk about that.
The first thing, when you go onto their website, if it does not say licensed and approved by the state of blah, 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 by the Department of Education, by the Department of Post-Secondary School, by the Higher Education Council, whoever it is in whatever
it's not
state
a real
it is,
school.
If that is not on their website, they are not a legit school.
What's interesting is that one school has that on their syllabus, but not on their website, and yet we can't find hide nor hair of the license on the .gov website. Check for licensing; they're not on there.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Facebook user, red flag for me is a 6-week course claiming to turn you into a groomer by the end.
Yeah.
That must be Kelly.
Our course is 6 weeks. We got 6-week courses. We got 8-week courses. We got 12-week courses. You want groomers in the industry. They're coming out as green entry-level groomers. They are paying tuition to get that. You don't come out of school and you are not a full-fledged Robin.
Right.
You are going through your stages.
Mhm.
You get to college because you graduated from high school or you got your GED.
Mhm.
Then you take your next steps. You're not a doctor for 8 years. Even once you become a doctor and you get that doctorate, you still have
To do a
2
residency.
years to do your
Okay.
residency and do everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
It takes time. They are a groomer.
Yes.
Yes, they are a groomer when they graduate.
Now,
They paid
However,
their dues. They did their time. And if they're getting the right training and the skills, they are doing it.
Mhm.
I've had students,
Right.
we have a lot of students that turn around and open their own shop after 8 weeks on our floor. Happens
okay,
a lot.
this is where I would like to see a kind of change in our industry.
Mhm.
Okay. Just like you have, different levels in other industries, I would like to see where groomers are, your people that are come out of school after 8 weeks or whatever and aren't doing continued education, not furthering themselves. And then you have your pet stylist that is at a higher level. Separate them
Mhm.
and make it a distinct, difference between the two.
Mhm.
I would love
Yeah.
to see that in our industry.
Mhm. Just like electricians have, entry level, journeyman, contract.
Journeyman, yep.
So I mean, there's
Contract.
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. We always go back to the trades, don't we? Just for example. So I mean,
Well,
yeah,
And
it's
I've
an
always
easy
been a
way to
groomer,
look
but
at
I
it.
love the term pet stylist. And I
Pet
think it
stylist.
speaks
Yeah.
more to what many of us do, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
For whatever reason, it
Totally.
just doesn't come out of my mouth when I say dog groomer instead.
Well, I think
Well,
groomer is getting a really bad connotation lately as well.
Yeah, we may
we're
start
so
aware.
used to saying that.
Yeah.
It's so it that's the term. That's what we are. You go to dog grooming school. You are a dog groomer. Oh, you groom dogs all day?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but
Yep.
how many people until recently were a barber that was kind of even a frowned upon trade, which is now like a huge deal right now.
Not only that,
And
barbers used to be dentists, surgeons, but morticians and everything. They branched out.
yeah, yeah,
This is more than a shave and haircut, 2 bits. Okay. Yeah, all
yeah.
those things.
So
Veterinarians didn't used to be an actual career or a profession. They were a bunch of people who did husbandry on animals because they all lived on farms. And then
yeah,
as they got
That's
together
right.
and shared notes and the science
That's my
That's the
they became
key.
a
That's not.
profession.
Yeah.
But that's why the barber pole has red and white stripes. That was bandages.
Mhm.
Because that's also where you went to get stitched up because not everybody had a doctor.
Right.
So it was
Barber
either
did
the
everything.
barber- They did a lot of
A
stoning of the
dentist.
village wise women, but anyway, that's another.
That's
no.
another story
Well,
for
and I
a
think
different.
that a lot of the pet industries are going through stuff like this. Our vet techs required to be licensed in every state yet. I'm not sure they are yet. And I think there are a lot of pet industries that are going through this right now that are just trying to raise the bar, and I think it's great.
Mm.
And I think as we go,
Well, dog
especially
trainers
as
are
we
the
get
same
stronger
way,
and
right?
stronger, everybody that is not up to that standard at just the standard level is going to fall by the wayside, because I believe that our clientele, the general public, is more educated now than ever, especially, and even though it's painful, the doodle craze kind of is our helper in ushering in
Yeah.
having these clients ask the correct questions.
Yeah.
Yep.
And be open to, okay, I want to take the best care of my F11 5 remote removed, special world doodle, whatever, they are really into it.
But I have to say, it's taken a solid 15 years
Or more.
or
More.
more. Doodles aren't like, they didn't just happen last summer.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not a new craze.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was a new groomer, people asking if I was familiar with doodles because they were new and fancy, and I had to bite my tongue and not say, well, I've groomed all kinds of mutts, yes. But it's taken a long time. So I think there's a frustration and we want to do things overnight We want to be a groomer overnight and be a stylist overnight and have everything happen. And it's continuing education in addition to do your homework and do your lecture classes too.
For our Facebook user, I think it's
That's
still Kelly. So I'm going to say that keep doing your CE, get some kind of a master certification. And as you go to the expos and go to classes and do all the things, literally that's how all of us ended up here. We started just where you're at right now, grooming our little lives away. And we learned enough to be like, you know what, I could teach you how to do the close, open, close method. Yeah, I could do this. I can teach you how to mark yourself. Yeah, I can teach you how to help your dog be more comfortable on the table, and on and on. You know what I mean? So once you find what challenges you and makes you feel excited. I love skin. I'm all about it. So I talk about skin for, 365 days a year to everyone who doesn't want to hear it. Like,
just try to stop us.
Yeah, you can't stop.
I'm like that with the behavior stuff. Just try to stop me.
Yeah. So if you really want to be an instructor at the end there of doing this all day, then absolutely you will find your niche, you will find your area, and you will explore that. And whatever you love the most, that's what you should teach.
I want to ask her: is she looking to are you looking to teach at an academy, or where are you wanting to go with this teaching? Do you want to do you have your own shop, and are you looking at creating this yourself? So that's what I would ask: is how, and what direction of this teaching? Because and I'm guessing when you say you're at in person at Groom Expo West, you're in California, and there are some schools in California. The San Diego Grooming Academy is right there, and there's a couple in Pasadena. But to find instructors, that's a whole different ballpark.
I think it's hard to find a groomer.
Yeah.
Try finding hard to find a good instructor.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need to make your own way in the world. I started a podcast.
I would suggest that you start calling
speaking
all of the schools that are on the coast that you're near. Start calling in your state and calling the outlying states. If you are, in fact, in California, like Dara said, you are lucky to have the opportunities on the West Coast because it's a desert here in the middle. Or the Southwest, I should say, which is the real middle of the country. And then on the East Coast, you have some good luck. And then in the Midwest. Luck. Yeah. So it's really hard to find a good school. So if you are on the coast, you have a better chance than most. But you should visit the schools. They should smell nice. Everybody shouldn't have 10 dogs. They should be learning on 1 or 2 or 3 dogs a day. Just little things like that. Are your instructors excited? Do they have 10 dogs on their schedule, so they're not going to be able to look at your dogs? You should question any school that has Dawn in the shampoo area. I'll say that out loud, however many times I feel like it, okay? Right out in front of God and everybody. If there is a fish liquid in your school that you're thinking about going.
Poor Chris is trying to break in. Break in, Chris. Just do it.
Wait. I want to take a step back. I want to take a step back into getting to be an instructor, and I'm going to give you an unconventional answer. I'm going to say there are a lot of people who are excellent at what they do and are masters, but are not excellent at public speaking and are not excellent at communicating their ideas and in working with a crowd. So I'm going to tell you to do one of my pet clubs that is not even grooming related. Find a local Toastmasters club. It is it is a public speaking club. And every club is a little bit different, but you're going to learn about how to communicate with an audience. You're going to learn things you didn't know were an issue. You're going to learn how to maintain eye contact, how posture is important, how crutch words are important. And you may not
How many times you say
how many times you say and you may not realize what your crutch words are. But if you're taking a class and someone is saying, a lot, do they sound like they know what they're doing? It's
And they could be a master at what they're doing, but sometimes it's really
100%
nerve-wracking for them
yes.
to get their message across. You know, it happens. But Chris, that's an excellent suggestion. Toastmaster can help anybody be more comfortable. She says she's been in theater, so public speaking is not an
So
issue for her. So you know what? You should start giving tiny classes to your clients. Show them how to brush their dog out at home. Show them how to take care of theirs.
Theater and behavior, Kelly. I feel like we know each other. This is great. Join in the fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another role that an instructor takes, though, is being able to see when a student is going to be making a mistake and allow them to make the mistake.
As long as there's no blood involved, you have to let them chunk out that piece. You have to let them cut out that armpit and make a big hole there by the elbow. You got to do all the stuff.
And then you have to be able to fix it.
Yes. And the thing is, too, you have to be able to, go in, show them on one side how to do it, then walk away and tell them, now you do it. And walk away.
Yes.
Walk away and let them do it.
Yeah.
And then come back and if they're struggling, talk them through it. Don't do it for them.
Right.
Because you're not teaching them at that point. You're doing it for them, and you're a groomer at that point.
Mm-hmm.
There is, and that's, I was going to come to that also and say, you have to know what you are. I know I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. That's what I do. And what I love is education. So that's why what I have done is create a powerhouse group of women that love to educate. And you have to know what type your personality is. And you have to be willing, at some point, there are some people, you got to give it away.
Yeah,
that's just part of it. It goes hand in hand. The first few people in the first half of my entire career was training and learning how to teach and learning how to teach. I learned how to teach. I learned how to do, and I learned how to master that before I started promoting myself as that. And then start creating that, and then finding niche people to do the jobs to be able to allow me to then do what I do best. And putting that together. So you, by heart, as a business owner, you're a business owner, or you're a groomer or pet stylist or whatever you want to call yourself. But you have to have your differences. You have to know, where do you fall. As a business owner, my job is to protect the business. 100%. I protect the business. I protect the assets. I protect the employees. I protect the online instructors. I have to protect everybody, and I protect the students. And that is huge. That gives everybody the creations that they can do.
And it leaves Dara with no time for anything else.
Right, Kelly.
I mean, that's
manage your time,
full-time jobs,
teaching and grooming and running your businesses. Honey, just stop sleeping.
Yeah. Yep.
Stop sleep. What's wrong with
you? Just said what?
What? Yeah,
I was up until 1 o'clock writing that stuff for you.
I think it's all different depending on what you want to do. Some people teach a couple of classes and they groom full time. Some people groom part time and they compete a lot and teach a couple of classes. Some people just teach, and they're at the point where they just teach, or they judge, or they do whatever. So by the time you're ready to be an instructor, you've already dabbled and you kind of know what direction that you want to go in. So I think that's a really neat thing. You just start developing yourself.
Just like when I started, I groomed, and then I went into competition. Okay, and I started that late in life, and it just, then I kind of got in with evolution, and then I got in with Dara, and I got all these other things going on, and it was like, okay, something has to give. Well, competitions, I'm getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm 49 years old. This doesn't work. So don't get yourself in such a path that you don't want to switch gears. You constantly have to reevaluate too, and that's where
Prioritize.
exactly, because I mean I was teaching
Prioritize.
classes, I was competing, and then I was helping evolution when I could. And so then I switched into, okay, I'm going to focus on teaching more classes because that's what my passion is teaching, and then working with evolution, and kind of pushed off to the side and haven't competed. So you've got to look at what your priorities are, and don't be afraid to switch them, because down deep in my soul, it's like, but I want to make groom teams so bad. I that was my driving force. That was my goal, and that's what I wanted to do, and I still want that so bad. But I know that that's not in my cards now. Okay, it's not there for me. So I had to relook at, okay, what am I going to prioritize? What am I going to do? And that's when the teaching and the evolutions pushed
That
up.
boosted.
Mindy, that's some of the best advice on how to get to be instructor. That is real. You have to be resilient, and you have to look at all of your skills. If you love behavior, there's a lot in behavior that you can branch out of. It just doesn't have to be just the behavior. You could do fear recovery therapy. You could do like so many other things. So yeah, Mindy, that was fantastic. What a great example.
And Kelly, if you want to reach out to me, you are more than happy. I am more than happy. I am the goal queen. So I love helping people set their goals and reach their dreams and prioritize that. And making those leaps. I'll get Chris, I know you have something to say, and I just want to focus, because before we go really quick after, I want to touch on talking about what people can do, kind of like what Kelly's talking about, for their local grooming schools. Go ahead, Chris.
I just wanted to wrap up, because I know we've only got like 2 minutes left, but I wanted to end with, don't be fooled by what you think you see on social media. You may be looking at this groomer and go, oh my God, she grooms full time and competes and teaches and I guarantee, if they're not doing everything you think they're doing, it's physically impossible. Because take this year's schedule, for example. My last show was Intergroom. My next show is going to be Idaho Falls, Grand Teton. Now, there are other shows between that. There is Pet Quest, but it's rare that I have like 2 months completely off. Even they don't do everything you think they do, because Corinna doesn't groom full time.
Right. And when they're done being in the spotlight and whatnot, they go back to their salon and groom dogs like everybody else.
Yeah.
They got a shop. They groom dogs.
If you're taking 5 days a month off every or 9 out of the 12 months, you're not technically grooming full time, because there's stuff behind the scenes you don't see. There's the showtime, there's the prep, there's this. They're not perfect. They're wonderful, wonderful, talented people, but they're not super women who sleep an hour a day.
They sleep 2 hours.
And anytime you have like a certain amount of work, if you want to raise one thing, something else gets done.
Mhm.
Something else, yeah.
Right, something else.
Say there is a
not-
system for it. Have you've seen
Yeah.
the little box? I've
Mm.
taught this class a number of times. You've got your box, and you start with the least important things in your lower corner, and your priorities in the top left corner. As you check those off, your boxes and your lists move from side to side so that you're constantly filling and repeating. If it doesn't get done today, it wasn't important enough to do. So I prioritize and make lists and my checklists of everything when and my deadlines and everything. You have to prioritize, and it is tough, but once you get your system down, it's like boom, boom, boom. But there are a lot of people that have schools around them, and they make no time to go visit the schools, to see the schools. They form a quick opinion or a judgment about it based on other opinions or what they like or dislike, or that they're not teaching, or this and that.
Mhm.
Go meet them. Go introduce yourself to them. Walk into the schools. Go see what they're actually doing. Volunteer to be a guest instructor for a day or two. You're in the real world. Let students see what they're doing. Ask to walk around and see what they're teaching. If they're an open door, they'll let you do that. If they're doing that, I'm sure. I mean, I'm pretty certain that I could say if somebody walked into the shop and they said, I'm a groomer from down the road, I'd love to see the place, and what do you teach and how do you do it? Can we come in? And Lori and Christy'd be like, yep.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Yeah, if you go to school and they tell you, oh no, we don't allow people in the back, run.
Yeah. And also don't because I know I've worked with people who were there, they were like, oh, I went to this school and blah 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 blah, and I'm like, I don't think that's the whole story. You know what I mean? Like you also have to kind of know when someone's giving. Yeah. Like, really? They told you what? No, you're entry level. You know? Are you sure? Yeah, pretty sure.
I was told by a student that's going to a school currently that I am teaching her wrong because I'm teaching her to flip her curves back and forth to fit the curve that she's using. She wasn't allowed to flip her curves. They would fail her for that on that dog.
What? Why?
Thank you. Do you flip your curves, Mindy?
Yes.
Do you flip your curves, Chris?
Yeah.
Do you flip your curves, Chrissy?
I do.
Sarah, have you flipped a curve before?
Yep.
So all the dogs look like half moons.
Only on one side because you can't flip it.
Sorry, the curve goes this way.
In this industry that you may flip your curves here to fit the curve that you're cutting. Thank you very much, and have a nice day. So,
even when they're not designed for it,
Yeah,
So, there are things that
honestly, I'll tell on myself. Honestly, I can flip my evolutions.
I can too.
I have and I can flip them. It does. It takes some practice, but you can flip an evolution.
Yeah.
I can flip the curved evolutions for things like feet. I'm not comfortable with doing it on like a head, but
I've got the stupid hand, so I can't use them.
Can't.
I got nothing. No. I got a stationary curve that I flip over and over again all day long.
Now, if she can't flip them at school, what if she went and bought the curves that are
the reverse curve?
The reverse curve.
But
there you go.
Then she's not flipping them.
That's right. But anyway, I mean.
So I'm going to put this out there for everybody that's watching. If you have any questions, any concerns, any thoughts, any ideas, have thought about having a school, have wanted
thought about going to a school, thought about being
going to a school. We're an open door. You can contact us at any time for any questions about it. If there's a school that you are questioning and or know of that is operating under the radar, you just have to reach out to your local Department of Education and see if they are. They're going to do an investigation. It's not a bad thing, because there are rules and laws in place
To
and
protect you as a student.
that protect you as a
Protect
student,
you.
that's for protecting our industry.
Mm-hmm.
That's protecting our industry.
Yeah.
No, you're not telling on anyone.
No, and
You're
next
holding
week
them responsible for what they're supposed to be doing.
next week we're talking more about credentials and what that actually means, and what credentials
I'm excited
are.
about that
So
one.
a license, we talked about accreditation, which is different than a license. So we'll get more involved in that. I know we talk about a lot of this a lot, but I think it's important because it is a awareness side of the industry that's not talked about. And the difference, we talk about the terminology, and I think that's in our packet as well, or in our write-up for the Master Groomer Council.
Yeah, and Jennifer, who's not
definitions in
here
there?
right now, likes to banter back and forth because we have a groomer shortage. And she's like, well, we don't have a groomer shortage. There's just more dogs. That's like saying the statement, well, it won't be louder. You could just hear it better. Yeah, since there's more dogs, there's a groomer shortage because there's not enough of us to go around. So every single person that comes through your door that has any kind of enthusiasm or passion over the industry, please find it in your heart to nurture them if you can, because there's no one coming up after us. There's not enough of us to go around. So all your skills, all your learning, all your CE that you took, everything that you've learned, the body of your work should absolutely be passed down. And Dara likes to say, don't train one, train two. Train one to replace you and one to carry on.
That's Jennifer.
Oh, Jennifer. Yeah.
That's Jennifer that says that. Yes.
I say train as many as you can. I'm not
I was
stuck.
going to say, train as many as you can.
Well, and also it's always important to keep investing in your career and in your future. So I'm still taking classes. I think everybody here is still taking classes. That it's not just for entry-level groomers. You know, we need to think about our industry in general. But if you're an employer and you're thinking about, do I want to, like, I have a brusher bather who wants to learn more, you need to know about schools and what to look for.
Absolutely.
And if you are, another question I get a lot, we get a lot of calls. What if I send somebody to you as an employee? If I'm sending my employee to you, do you do discounts? Well, you know, tuition is different, but we're willing to onboard. We're willing to train people specifically for a shop. They don't necessarily have to come through school. They can come to us and we work out an agreement. And
let me expound on that for you a little bit, Dara, because she doesn't really like to say for whatever reason. She's so humble. However, you could actually, let's say that you want to start a salon. You're an intermediate groomer. You're a decent pet groomer, but you want to open your salon. So you're not a beginner, so you don't need the level. We could actually, at Whole Pet Academy, can actually tailor make a curriculum for you to teach you how to open your salon and to teach you the things and fill in the gaps of what you don't know so you can be successful. So everything is possible. I've seen Dara do it so many times. Somebody will come in with a specific need and she will tailor a curriculum for them, just for them, and take it out of all the pieces that she has to work with. So we're a fully functional school for the individual.
And there are so many different types of grooming businesses.
Yes.
Oh, so many. You should check out the academy for yourself.
Absolutely. We have a lot to offer, and you know what? We're growing by leaps and bounds.
I am surrounded by greatness.
We add new instructors. We add new courses all the time. A lot of us are adding to our own curriculum. Even we started, like I started with the one course. We're expanding out from that this summer. So
I just submitted a bunch to her
for Whole Pet.
And she's our newest.
Yes.
And you're into behavior,
I mean,
tell them your classes, Chris.
Tell them my process for
Tell
what?
them your classes.
Oh, my classes. Oh man, I have to look up. I have to look them
still
up.
new.
They're that new.
But they're not new to the school, but she's
Right.
taken them over.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oop, what am I kicking under here? Mm.
Okay. Introduction to pet industry practices and an informed professional.
I like it. And what do those classes entail?
So the informed professional is a 4-hour class that has about 2.5 hours of class time, an hour of homework and test combined, and a half an hour of let's review everything. I want to make sure you got everything. So it's designed for first-year groomers to get a better understanding of the pet industry and to avoid career-ending pitfalls. I'm going to be going over workplace and tool ergonomics, staying mentally and physically healthy, why grooming 10 dogs a day may not be sustainable.
Just don't do it.
Yeah, just don't do it.
Raise prices.
Been there. Don't do it.
Why a daily sanitation routine is vital. And I'm going to super touch, because I know Jennifer does the whole history thing. So I'm going to super touch on some history.
Mm-hmm.
And introduction to pet industry practices. That is a 7-hour total with 6 hours class, an hour homework and testing. I might actually adjust that to be more like to include the half hour of going over everything. See, we always adjust.
Yep, always adjust.
And that's going to cover some best practices in the pet industry, as well as help determine the future career of students. I'm going to be doing a really in-depth cover of the PPGSA standards of care in this class.
Those
And
standards of care
Master
are also
Groomer
included.
Council.
They're also included in the best practices handbook for the Master Groomers Council as well. Go ahead.
excellent.
So that can be included in that, Chris.
Yeah. There's a lot. And
Yes, Kelly, they do.
Yeah,
They
she's
are
describing
online
on
classes.
all of
We do every day.
those 2 classes are definitely going to be online. And in the longer one, I'm going to cover the pros and cons of employment versus entrepreneurship.
Nice.
Because everybody thinks I'm going to go open my own shop and it's going to be glorious. And I'm just going to leap out of bed every day feeling joyous to be
And
alive.
the money is just going to rain on me.
It'll be everything I ever dreamed it would be.
And yeah, I'm going to be my own boss and I'm never going to get up and say, don't wanna.
Uh-huh.
I cannot make money whenever I want.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yep, I hear you. Well, that's fantastic, Chris. I'm looking forward to those classes. There's so many classes that our school offers that I want to take. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to start enrolling in them, but I've still got to get my stuff going. Darren, we have to get together because when June comes, we're going to do something.
We're doing something. Yes, I know.
Well,
I'm always got stuff on the burner, man.
I know it.
I know. That's all right. The the website's going to be completely overhauled and redone. We're going through a whole new branding process.
Woo-hoo.
So this is I got some rejuvenation in my veins going right now, and the academy is on front and center.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
So I'm
We're getting ready to bust out.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got some irons in the fire that are growing. But so this week, well, thank you guys for all joining us. You see us, we like talking about education and all things that revolve around it. And next week we're going to continue it. So join us next week at 7:30. And the following month for June, which is almost here. Can you believe it?
I know.
Crazy.
6 weeks to Pet Quest.
Yeah. So we're going to go into June and we're going to have it's called the month of June is the history of grooming. We're going to start it off as a tale as old as time. So we're going to get down into the actual physical very beginning of the grooming industry. The following week, we're going to talk about the shoulders on which we stand, the impact of technological advances in our industry, and then our final week in June will be building for the future. So
Nice.
we
That's a
got
great
some.
lineup. Yeah.
We got a good lineup for next month. I'm looking forward to it. I think everybody is. So we will get that going, and I'm glad everybody joined us. So hopefully you guys have a great week grooming as pet stylists.
Absolutely.
I think that's how we're going to do that.